Hello boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. My name is Raunchy Ram, and this is a review for Battleborn. My version was on the Xbox One. My channel is still relatively small, and it's early on in the stages of, actually existing. So I don't know exactly what I want to do with my channel yet, but I figured I might as well put some reviews on it too, because outside of YouTube, I actually work as a reviewer, writer, and game journalist for XboxCulture.net. So, I already wrote the reviews. I just need to, put them into, an actual video. So, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you like it.
Let's bring you up to speed, shall we? So, once upon a whole hell of a long time ago, the very first civilization in all the known universe carved an idea into a stone. And this, of course, meant it was important. Their idea was about the end. According to the stone, a time would come when everything would disappear, including the very stars themselves.
And that's where Battleborn's story starts. You play one of the 25 characters from the group, the Battleborn, whose job is to protect the last star in the universe, Solus, from Rendane and the aliens who wish to destroy it. The story does seem like it's the kind of setup for like some big space opera kind of thing, but actually the story takes backseat heavily to the gameplay and the humor in the game. So much so that the story is actually delivered in the beginning of the mission, the bare minimum that you need to actually start playing the stage and understand why you're going there. And then the rest of the stage is filled with go here, do this, and listen to this little snappy comeback or joke that I have. Another way the story takes backseat is how when you play in public matches on the story, you play the missions out of order. It doesn't help. Like, you don't know what happens in what order, and to make it even worse, you have to vote on which mission everyone plays, and the one with the most votes is the one that wins. So unless you've got a team of 4 other people to help you go through it, you're going to be replaying a lot of missions that you've already done. If you didn't have to replay a lot of missions before because of having to vote on them, you're going to end up replaying a lot of missions even more when you're in public matches because the archaic design of the campaign. For one, you get lives. You get a limited set number of lives, and when you die, it takes lives away from the entire team. But it's sometimes like lives don't even matter though, because the missions are mostly defense missions. You just go to a point and you defend it against the hordes, and if the health hits 0, that's it. Mission failure. When the mission fails, there's no checkpoint. You guys don't all reset back to a checkpoint and you get to have another go. That's it. Mission failure. That's it. You have to start the mission over from the beginning, or if this happened to be a mission that you haven't finished before, you have to keep searching and finding new lobbies until you get the chance that you get that mission again. I just don't get why they couldn't take lives away from the team every time a mission failure happened and then just put you back at a checkpoint. The thing is that the checkpoints do exist in the form of respawn areas. They could easily just repurpose those as checkpoints and then just take the tokens away from the team when people die, when the mission fails. It's just, in public lobbies, this makes it way too harsh, as you can't guarantee the skill level of your actual team. So if you play the campaign, I'd recommend playing it with mostly friends, just so that you can actually finish the missions as well as get the ones that you need done. The gameplay is pretty simple. It's fast and frantic and sometimes a bit chaotic, but when everyone is playing their role, it's actually fun. But the problem with playing your role is the game doesn't actually tell you how to play it at all. Other than a prologue mission, which just tells you the basic information, like how to level up and stuff like that, it tells you in white text, which you'll probably never read. Like, you'll probably try the buttons out yourself before you even try to read that very small white text. And even then, the game doesn't explain the more refined aspects of MOBA games like roles, and when selecting characters, the game doesn't organize the characters by role. So you don't have like your healer section, your damage section, and your tank section. You've got all the characters jumbled in and as a group, and which would be fine normally, but these characters follow roles and they have specific functions that they're supposed to help perform as a team. But like, let's say Miko. Miko's a pretty cool character. Miko is a mushroom person, ninja, throws kunai that does poison damage and stuff like that. It seems like she'd be a damage character, but when you play her, she's actually one of the stronger, more dedicated healers, but people never play her. Well, when people play her, they usually play her because she looks cool. And the game doesn't tell you that she's a healer unless you decide to go into the character menu and look under her backstory and stuff like that. It says healer at the top right. As for controls, each of the characters have basic attacks mapped to the triggers, 2 abilities on the bumpers, and your big finishing move, or a really strong heal, or your ult put on Y. But the amazing thing is that with such basic controls, each of the characters still play completely different. Even with characters in the same role, like 2 tanks, each felt special and filled their role uniquely. How is it like a MOBA? Well, I think, personally, a MOBA is defined by 3 things. In-game levels, having a shop to buy items to raise your stats, and the maps or the game mode that you play on. To level up in the game, you kill minions, players, or enemy-based defenses, plus you also get XP for building your own base defenses as well. As you level up, you get a skill tree that you put levels into, and at each level you get 2 choices, left or right, and if you play that character a lot, you may actually unlock a third option in the middle. Each one of these little choices affects how your abilities work, and sometimes they range as like something as simple as raising your damage or providing a more tactical advantage like giving your weapons CC or crowd control effects like slows and stuns. Most MOBAs have a shop of some sort where you earn gold in the match and buy items to improve the stats of your character. Rather than going the conventional shop route, which can be confusing to new players, they instead decide to go with a gear and loadout system. It's pretty simple, but it leaves a lot of room for more, what's the term? Hardcore builds? The gear system is cool though. Instead of having a large shop with lots of items and varying usefulness and just generally confusing, bad laid out menus to upgrade your stats in the match, you get to pick a loadout of 3 items. Outside of the match, you open up these packs with an in-game currency that you get from completing matches, and you are given various items of different rarities and abilities. You get to choose 3 and equip them to a loadout, and then when you actually get into a match, right after you pick your character, you pick a loadout, and that's your shop. To buy the items from the shop, you destroy crystals and pick up shards and kill minions and walk over where the minions died, and you'll get crystal shards, which you use to buy your abilities or buy turrets and other base defenses. So it kind of balances out whether do you want to get XP by getting turrets, or do you want to actually just get your abilities so that you're stronger. As for the actual modes, they right when you get to the modes, they decide to abandon the whole MOBA mentality. Like, it seemed so solid before, but right as you get to the maps, you realize that instead of dedicating their time to like creating one actual MOBA mode, they instead take 3 different modes, and each one holds a different aspect of your traditional MOBA mode. You know, your 3 lanes, your jungle, 2 towers, and then the main base. They instead break it into 3 modes. You've got Incursion, which is, I'd say, the closest thing to playing an actual MOBA. You've got 2 sentry turrets, which act like your towers. When these are destroyed, it's game over. Then you've got minion AI that goes up the lanes and pushes and fights other minions, and you use them to, as, well, robotic meat shields to take up the shots from the sentry so that you can actually kill the sentry. And then instead of having an actual jungle, they put the crystal shards in, which you break to collect them, which anybody can do. Like, there's no character that gets more or less than anybody else. And then you've got 3 camps, one in each team's base, and then one central one that is a little bit harder. When you destroy these, you can stand on the plate that they're summoned at and summon them to work in your lane for you to help you push your lanes faster. If you've ever played Siege in Smite, it's very similar to taking the Siege Giant in the middle. Now, the problem with this is that there's no actual jungle with like jungle buffs and jungle camps and alternate ways to get XP. Your ways of getting XP are very limited, and the game goes on for a very long time, and you may not even reach 10 by the end of the match sometimes, and it's strange not being able to see your character's full potential outside of campaign. Now, Meltdown is actually my favorite mode because it's the mode where even new players can grasp it quickly, and you don't really need a meta or a solid team composition to win it. Meltdown is, if you've ever played like Arena in Smite, Meltdown is 2 lanes where you've got bots that go up the lanes, and rather instead of running into turrets where you help destroy the turrets, you help your minions kill enemy minions so that they can walk into the grinders on the enemy team. You want to fill up the grinders, and when you get to 500 points, you win the game. I don't remember exactly if getting kills contribute to the score, but you can use getting kills as a way to get more push on your lanes. But remember that the main objective is to get your minions into the grinder. And the last mode is pretty much just domination. But what they do is they slightly tilt off where the flags are, and they're all in the middle of the map, left side, middle, and right side. So this is where they decide that they're going to take the 3 lanes from it, and they put in some XP camps. So this one's kind of close to it, but rather than push up the lanes, kill towers, destroy the base, you've got these 3 points that you capture, like domination in Call of Duty or conquest in Battlefield. And then you've got these camps that get you XP. As it stands right now, there's no definitive definitive meta in the game, and this causes a lot of chaos, confusion, and most players don't know which characters do what and what roles to play. So as of right now, multiplayer is not a very fun place to play outside of Meltdown. While there is nothing actually wrong with Battleborn, its gameplay suffers heavily from a lack of explanation and an uninformed player base. Battleborn is a MOBA, a genre of game that we don't see very often on the console side of the market. Because of this, players who play exclusively console don't have a strong understanding of how to play these games and don't fully get how to play, or they just decide to play it just like any other multiplayer game, and sadly that doesn't work out. This problem gets worse when the MOBA in question is an FPS and an action game, genres known for their simplicity and ease of access. They just play it like any other FPS, and most FPS don't have advanced classes, roles, or like lane assignments and stuff like that. Rather than the game teaching you through tutorials, including videos or explaining rules in the gameplay, they just expect you to read each character's abilities or to have prior knowledge of how to play MOBAs. Again, MOBAs on console are rare, and Gearbox's previous games are not MOBAs, so majority of the players playing this game are just fans of Borderlands. The game doesn't teach you anything other than the basic controls, and this leaves the advanced concepts like roles, healing, and meta to be decided by the community. Playing multiplayer without a team is near impossible because of the lack of teaching, and results in chaotic multiplayer and people playing healers without actually healing. If you do happen upon some players who do know what they are doing, prepare for more frustration, because if they know how to play, there's a very high probability that they won't want to play support, because most people just want to play the class that gets kills. So, do I think the game is worth getting? I'd say definitely. but I'd wait a bit until the game's player base becomes a bit more knowledgeable and learns how to play better. They just don't understand how important support and healing is, and when they pick support, they don't know it's support. I think the problem could be fixed if they just organized characters by role. The game is great fun and is a great first MOBA, but right now it's just too frustrating to play, so I give it an 8 out of 10. If you do get it, play with friends, and if you play Miko, please, please, please use the left trigger. It heals your teammates.